Yo, yo, yo. What up, Wolf Empire? This your host, Shon-TheWolf. Man, the market was going crazy today. We was in the Discord quarterback and everything. Matter of fact, we've been quarterbacking everything for this past month, seeing all the traps. If you were paying attention and working together in the pack, we caught a lot of these traps. We were patient. Wasn't no need to rush, as you can see. You could have jumped in early when the decision hadn't been made on direction. But even if you waited until it's a clear direction, thousands of dollars to be made by waiting on the setups and letting price come to you, having clarity on trend direction. Had an amazing month this month. The market seems like it's had a full reversal, a healthy reversal at that. So I'm happy with the confirmations that we got to signify that it's a pretty stable reversal so far. We're getting some good breadth. A lot of the smaller cap stocks are ticking up. IWM getting volume, which is always a good sign. You want to see IWM start pushing up. You want to see small cap start getting love. And then you want to see big tech come back and that money transfer into that big tech. And you want to see some of the semiconductor stocks start picking up steam like we saw in AVGO. Looks like AMD is going to turn around soon. MU start picking up steam. ARM. That's what you want to see. You want to see those small caps start spreading out because you want to know that this is not like just a tech heavy run up that as soon as big tech falls down, the whole market crash. You want to see that market get that money get spread around. I don't know if let me see how many stocks in the S&P 500 got above the 200-day moving average. If you ever want to check that, so the thing when you're looking for breadth, and what that means is that when a run up is happening, it's not just isolated in one sector. You want to see that there's multiple stocks trying to get back above the 200-day moving average, and which means that's why we watch this, because I always teach you all that the 200 is the heartbeat of the trend of the stock, the overall trend of a stock. So you want to make sure that 200-day moving average is healthy for a stock that's in an uptrend. If a stock is under that 200, then it's bears. Bears are in control. So when you look at S5th, this is the S&P 500 stocks above the 200-day moving average. They also have this same thing for the 50-day moving average, 100-day moving average. I lean on the looking at the 200-day. So when you come here, what you want to see is you want to see this thing in an uptrend. You see with the wolf chart, we can see that trend really quickly. You can see we pop down here in that sell off when we're down here back on the 20th of November. We pushed down and the SPY was tanking and everything. You had stocks selling off. But now the healthy number that you want to look for is 60. When this number is at 60, that means that it's money getting spread in multiple stocks in the S&P 500. That means that you're looking at a large amount of stocks in the S&P 500 being over the 200-day moving average. And so you want to keep an eye on that. The other one I think is MMTH. And this right here is just percentage of stocks above the 200-day moving average. And this one right here is the first one I showed you is the stocks above the 200 moving average just in the S&P 500. And this is just all stocks, right? So we're looking at it from totality. We look at this. What do we see? We got an inverse arc. We got a Marabazu white candle, which is an extremely bullish candle. It means bulls are in control the whole time. But more importantly, we see that in this trend, when we broke, we retested, pushed up, retested, and now we're breaking out of this downtrend. We got to change the character right here. We're back at historical support and resistance right here. You got to change the character, trying to push back up. And these are also trying to get above 60. We're going to run into, breadth issues once we get around 61, 60. But if we close above this 61.50 level, 61.70, around this range, then we can try to push up and come up to this 64. And that'll start pushing SPY back into all-time highs if we see that. So if we see the percentage of stocks above the 200-day moving average expanding up towards this 61 to 64 level, Nine times out of ten, the S&P 500 will be at all-time highs, breaking the two new highs. We see that. So if you stuck in there and you were paying attention to the trend, we played both directions. We played puts when we were supposed to play puts, and we jumped into calls when it's time to play calls. If you were in leap contracts, if you held through the storm, or if you had a plan to where when stocks came down back down to the demand zones, and you bought in again to double down on your position at key levels, then congrats to you as well. But you got to have a strategy. Okay. So I just want to show you all that the overall percentage of stocks above the 200 moving average is becoming more and more healthy from all the stocks in the stock market. And then we just focus on the big boys in the S&P 500, the top 500 traded stocks, the top 500 companies, right? These are also healthy and pushing back toward. We're about to get a level 3 confirmation here, push toward this resistance right here around 62. So that's really healthy. So that's what you want to see. Um, we came down into this head and shoulder pattern, broke under, but we got caught back up in this June um, 2025 demand zone level here and popped out of there with a lot of momentum. Got the inverse arc. We got the 12 back, so it's looking good. So I'm not gonna waste no time this time. We don't have no data to cover. I just want to jump into. First of all, I want to show some love to a brother in the stock in the Discord. I just want to give him a shout out. I shout him out already in the Discord. This guy, he a king, right? He's been doing what kings do. He been studying. He been on the grind, right? He been studying his chart. He's been, kind of. He's not a vocal person in the Discord all the time, but and you would be surprised by some of the people that be kind of keeping their head down and just putting in the work. But this brother has got his account. He's up $100,000 for the year. Congrats to him. Congrats to his family. What I'm saying? Behind every great king, you got, it's a queen back there behind them, pushing them and motivating them, keeping them focused and things like that. But at the same time, you can tell by this brother's language, he a provider. He take his family serious and things like that. And I love that. He a God-fearing man like the wolf. And I love that too. And so I just want to give him a shout out. He up 100K. He said that, saying he's gonna go for his certified wolf chart mentor certification. He already got the CWCA certified wolf chart analyst. And I'm telling you guys, just like this brother author, this king author, got his CWCA and he up and he get into the bag. It's one thing just to get the CWCA, but it's another thing to live by the principles that's taught by Black Wolf, Shon-TheWolf AI. When I transplanted my brain into him to put pressure on you guys, not to be a yes man like regular Chat GPT, but to keep pressure on you on doing what's necessary to become a profitable trader, to become consistent. And this is what consistency looks like. And then he's doing a big thing when it comes to building wealth. Since he's paying off bills with the profits, and on that journey. I don't know if he's debt free yet. I don't know all his personal business like that. But if you are making money with these options, you don't want to keep all your money in options and keep playing all your money back. You want to be paying these bills down, paying debt off, and then work towards building the savings account up, and then take that profit and you start buying stocks and holding them, buying stocks and holding them, buying dividend stocks and holding them, and building wealth. You'll turn back 5 years from now, and you won't believe the type of progress you will make if you just stick with the program, get with Black Wolf, and say, "Hey, I need a plan to pay off this amount of debt. When I get my earnings, I need you to stay on me and be my accountability partner." Use a wolf in the Discord for accountability, but I just want to give a special shout out to this king for doing king things, bro. Handling his business, being a family man, and putting it down for his family. Being dedicated to the process, studying, believing in the teachings. I'm telling you, you got something special. The way I designed this ecosystem, I'm trying to put it in a way where we can't lose. And if you want it, what I'm saying, it's out there to get. When you dealing with me, I'm gonna look out for you. I got you. But you got to put the work in. You got to have some work ethic about yourself. You got to do the simple things and the consistent things. and the tedious things on a daily basis. And then, you'll look up and pick your head up, you be in a whole different destination, right? So I just want to give a special shout out to him. We did some refreshes to the Discord for the pack. They top notch. I'm not gonna cover all of them in this stream right here because we don't want copycats out there trying to copy what we doing, which is almost impossible to copy what we doing anyway because everything I built is proprietary. But we on a mission for 2026. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be a lot of people that get left behind in 2026. Not wolves. I'm talking about other people on the outskirts that's looking and watching but ain't committing. We gonna put the pedal to the metal. We going after profit 2025, and we still on that. And next year we going off after profit and wealth. You know what I'm saying? We want to start seeing some debt free wolves and things like that. So coach gonna put a whole game plan together with Black Wolf, with the pack, and we gonna start making sure we getting uh debt free wolves in here. And we gonna start working on building wealth and doing bigger things 2026. And while we're on this journey, we want to grow together and really accomplish some things. So that's what we're gonna be looking for. So we on Profit 2025. I was building this whole ecosystem to make us more profitable. And we've seen that with a lot of wolves. Some wolves still in that process of getting to the point to where they can get consistent. And that's okay. You take time. And then we're going to move over to the debt free and then wealth building phase. So hopefully by mid 2026, going into 2027, we have a great portion of the Discord and wealth building phase after we get rid of this debt. We want to get rid of that debt first. All right, so let's get back to the charts. The one thing I want to touch on is some stocks that I'm looking at. I want to go ahead and get this to you guys early. This list over here to my right, I want you to, if you got to take a screenshot of it, take a screenshot. My top three picks going into December, we got Intel, CRDO, and then Meta. Them are my three top picks. So looking at Intel, let's go to their chart. They ended the day with a bullish inverse arc. They mounted above the 12 cloud, so that means they have recaptured the short-term trend. They're sitting at this trend line break right now, but they also have a daily Marbazu white candle. As you click on that, it tell you it's a very bullish candle. It has very little to no wicks on it, right? But what's important about this candle is when you look at a Marbazu candle, especially a Marbazu white, or some people call it a bullish Marbazu candle. This candle, when you zoom into it, it has little to no wicks. All right, so you see how it barely has this little wick on here, and it barely has a wick at the top. This is a Marabazu candle, and what it means is that the body of this candle represents the open and the close. So it means that bulls dominated, buyers dominated the entire day on Intel. Okay, so from the opening all the way to the close, they were pushing Intel up in a straight line, and you can see it here. They started at $37.34 and they just continue to push it up all day long. Also, what happened today is that Intel, the volatility status flipped to aggressive, which means that the ATR, the average true range of the price of the average true range that Intel can appreciate in a day. So the stock price, the range of the stock price increase. All right. So that's a good bullish sign, means that it can move more in a day. Now, you know what I'm saying? It makes it more volatile. The other thing about Intel is that on a weekly candle as well, they had a strong weekly candle, right? And we're coming up to the WTMA. It hadn't crossed over yet. So it can push through here since we hadn't got a bearish arc confirmation yet. It can push through here. And once it gets above 41, if it starts holding over 41.03, it can quickly get back up here to 42.40 really quick. So put those levels on your chart. I want you to do a top-down analysis on Intel to make sure that you have a trade plan ready for them because they've reclaimed the 200. You see, we reclaimed it, came back down, retested it. We held the 12 cloud on a weekly just as a retest. Actually did a small liquidity week back inside of a fair value gap on the weekly time frame, and we're pushing back up toward this trend line right here. Now, Coach has two different trend lines on the chart. And so I told you guys about this sometimes. Sometimes I will put an additional trend line on my chart. So this is the regular trend line that comes on Wolf Levels Pro that automatically draws all your trend lines for you. And then I put an additional trend line on here. This trend line is a 30-day, 30 candle trend line. So it gives me a bigger picture, right? So a 30-day trend line is just you still have a regular level three confirmation, but it just gives you like a level three on steroids. It's a high since it's taking in consider more candles when it has a breakout on a 30-day trend line. It's a stronger level three confirmation. I'll say that. So I'll give you an example of that. We'll look at some level three breakouts with both of them. So we see here we had a level three. It was kind of both of them were combined right here on Intel. Let's see, can we find one? All right, so here we got a level three breakout right here, and then we got a 30-day time frame, I mean a 30-day trend line, level three dip here. So we had a level three right here, already confirmed, but the second entry, because I have these two trend lines here, I can see the second big drop, and you can see how it timed that bigger parabolic drop right there as well. And so you can use these 30-day trend lines if you prefer or you want to use them. Um, I use them for I can see so that I can see more longer time frame trend lines. And so it comes in handy sometimes when you're using them, especially with volatile stocks like Tesla and Meta and things like that. You can see these stronger level three if you don't have like another trend line on here. So, like for example, we have this trend line here where they did a level three, came back, retested, and broke out. But now I can also see that we have a 30-day trend line on a 1 hour chart, and it created another level three confirmation here, right? So we got another level three confirmation with this open and close candle, and now we're pushing back up into supply. So now with me not having a trend line here, you see how this gave me another clear extra entry with the same confirmation system. So I got the level three, and then I got me a level three down here with the 14-day trend line, and I got me a level three up here with the 30-day trend line, right? And so I can see both of them when I need to, and I can always take it off if it's cluttering my chart too much, right? All right, so that's Intel. They're looking good. They're looking like they want to come up here. If anything, when it gets up here to 42.50, if it surpasses that level, that's when you want to look for a buy side liquidity sweep. And what that means is that price might come up here and it might be shooting out like a rocket, and it's going to push up here. And once it gets above this level right here, so let's kind of see where they will liquidity sweep at. So I'm gonna put up the 3-day chart so we can look in the past and see if we have any liquidity lines behind us. Let's see. So you got liquidity up here at these levels. So I'm gonna map this out right quick because that'll help us because we'll know exactly where they're going to try to pull off a liquidity sweep. All right, so we got inverse arc here. We got an inverse arc right there. And we got an arc here that was bearish. All right, so we're just going to use these three lines. Let me go to the weekly chart to make sure there's nothing else that I can see in that range. Yeah, we do got a weekly one. So let me come here and grab this weekly one. I'm going to turn my weekly one blue so that I can know that it's a weekly one. We got another one here. I'm just looking at this inverse arc. And that looks like all we got in that range. Let's see. Okay, we got another one right there. So I'm just grabbing these old liquidity levels. All right, so I grabbed those levels and I'm mapping the liquidity on my Wolf Trend moving average. So now when I go back to that 1 hour chart, I can see that we have all that massive liquidity from the daily and weekly time frame sitting right above this order block, right? So now I can kind of see and I can plan out. So coaching not a psychic, right? When I be telling y'all, hey, we're just gonna come up to this level, grab liquidity and fall back down. I can just see where they're going to grab liquidity at. And so we can go ahead and give the prices on that now because we can see what their game plan is going to be on Intel already. So now I'm exposing the trap. And so that way, when they get ready to set the trap, it's not going to catch me or the wolf pack off guard because we're going to already know the levels on in which they're going to try to grab liquidity. And so up in this range, so look, it's going to push up. And initially, what you want to be looking for on this first retest, so this is going to be the first test of this order block. It's going to push up, sweep liquidity, maybe go as high as at max on this first test 44. So 43.95. If it peaks his head above here, you want to be, as soon as you get above, really, as soon as you get above like 42.80, 42 around this range, you want to start tightening your stop loss up if you play Intel, because if it gets to this weekly liquidity level, it's going to try to snatch it back down and close back inside of this order block and consolidate a little bit. Now, the way you know that Intel is going to go higher is if you see it hanging out and having a cup of coffee up here, peeking his head back and forth, back above this order block, then that's signaling that bulls are ready to try to take it up and try to mount these levels. And since it's not really a stock that moves a lot in a day, so if we go back and look at this ATR tracker, if I go to the daily time frame, we can see that Intel only moves $1.90 in a day. So on any given day, so if it opened up at uh 40.50, right? If it opened up at 40.50, or say if it opened up at $41 even, you're only looking for it to go to 42.90, right? So you talking about 42.90, that's this first liquidity sweep level and then a pullback. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta make sure you have an understanding of what the average true range each candle can make, and we're interested in the daily candle, right? Now, what does it mean when you have an aggressive move or you have an official breakout on an ATR? That means that because the average true range is increasing in a positive direction, that means that you might come look at this and it just say, well, Intel now, in the past it could only move $1.90, but now Intel can move $2.10 in a day, right? Because the ATR will have increased, meaning that each daily candle can now move in a wider range. So that's why it is bullish or bear. That's why it's important to track your volatility status when you're looking at the ATR tracker. It's letting you know when the average move can expand um, further than what it normally does. For example, if I put this in replay mode and go back, and let's go back to this date. Let's see what the ATR tracker. We'll see what his ATR was. You see how when before it had that move up, its ATR was 10 cents lower than what it is now. So it could only move $1.80 in a day. It has low volatility, and so that's just what the ATR tracker had it reading. And so now it had got a strong momentum, right? You see that it turned into an aggressive move on this next day. The ATR had increased by 1.13%. It made it move. This kind of means it gave the daily candle an average of $1.82 versus $1.80. And so we're back down to low volatility. You see how it's telling you every day is changing because the volatility in the ATR went negative. So that means that it wasn't going to move as much on that day. And so when you see it expand, you see how it's on aggressive and it went up 8%. With this Marabazu candle, it went up and it appreciated by like 8 cents from its previous high on the ATR tracker. So that's why we watch that status, because that's why when coach can see a breakout and everything aligns, when I have a wolf chart breakout, I got an A+ trade set up. My ATR tracker is aggressive. I know that the stock can move further than what it normally does. So that means that I can put in an aggressive play in the trend direction to make bigger gains on it. And so that's how when I did get into Intel today, I think I had a win on them. Let me see if I posted it. I don't know if I posted it or not, but we'll check. Yeah, so I posted my Intel play, and so I put 6,000 in there, and the play is at 11,240, and this all happened just today, right? And so that's how you can take advantage of those confirmations. I can just watch everything, see the confirmation, see the setup, See my ATR tracker flip on. I got a Mar Basel counter pushing me up. I'm above my 12. I'm coming out of money right here. Just I know I got institutional buyers that just recently stepped in on Friday. And it's just everything's lining up. It's a clean trade, easy trade, right? Easy money. All right, so that's Intel. Keep that one on your watch. CRDO, Credo Technology, same thing. Right? Look at this. They come out off of a sell side liquidity on the daily time frame. They swept liquidity. And when we sweep liquidity, then mess around and get an inverse arc, that's a easy trade setup. So they're pushing up. They reclaimed the 12, so they had a short term trend solidified. They're probably going to grab liquidity right here at this level. So be careful on them at like 179.91. Once they peep their head around above 179.91, close to 180, they can grab liquidity and pull back. So since I know that I have this arc right here on a daily, so I'm gonna flip that to orange. I have my arc here. I'm gonna line it with the crossover as well, and I'm gonna line this one up. So you're currently inside of a liquidity resistance right here. So it's pushing through it, but once it pushes above here, you have a high chance of pulling back down and trying to consolidate on top of this historical support. It's going to try to create a level 3 confirmation because right now you have liquidity on the other side of this trend line. And to dominate this trend line resistance, you need to open and close a candle on the other side of it. That's our level 3 confirmation. And so you want to open and close a candle on the other side of this trend line to try to push up to this previous month high. And so that candle from that trend line will look like this candle right here. So you want to see a candle open and close with the wick and the body of it above the trend line resistance and above the 12 cloud without touching either one. And that's what's going to signal that push up. But if you look at this liquidity level right here, even here, it pushed up. We never got an open and close candle above this daily liquidity right here. And so he was able to get snatched back down to this demand zone down here or this bullish order block. So put them on watch. I like their daily chart. They got a lot of different wolf chart confirmations. That's why I really like them. You got a Bazu white candle on your weekly time frame. Like I said, you're pushing toward the liquidity level. So be careful once you first peep your head above 179.91. You want to see it start opening, closing a trading day above that level fully to dominate it to avoid doing this. So you don't want to get caught up in a push up, like it's finna break out, then you get a snatch back down. You see here how accurate the WTMA is. Look at this. We weren't even on a weekly time frame, but look how it's coming up, grabbing liquidity and dropping, pushing up, grabbing liquidity and dropping. So that's what we're dealing with on this stock. You want to open and close a daily candle above this basically 180, let's say 180, and then it'll be ready to break out, okay, and hit new highs. Until then, you play it up and just take notice that until you get a clean break and hold over that level with an open and close candle, a dominant candle, full body and wick, it's just a liquidity grab, but you can still play the upside. All right, the other stock that is on my top 3 is Meta. Meta is down here in a weekly time frame order block. I've been screaming about this order block for a long time. On my main chart, let's see, I have Meta mapped out. I had Meta mapped out. Hold on, man, I'm just drawing lines everywhere. Hold on. I have Meta mapped out, and let me turn off these chart patterns. I had Meta mapped out on the weekly time frame, and it came right down to that target of this 588.12 to 591.56. That go to show you when you building a liquidity map how important it is, how accurate it is, how much it helps you have an advantage. And so I had it when Meta was way up here. We were looking at 591 to 588 as the area of interest that you can come in here, grab liquidity, and then push out. And that's exactly what it did. It came all the way down. And y'all know I had these levels on my chart for weeks. Came right down here. It pushed past it. But all that was a what? It was a sell side liquidity sweep. Push down, grab liquidity under my levels. But before it opened and closed any kind of any kind of candles under this thing, like a weekly or something on a weekly time frame, it just swept liquidity, pushed back up, and then it created a Basel candle, which is a bullish reversal candle to break through this other resistance here. And now it's pushing towards this fair value gap. So the real resistance is going to happen once it crosses past 660. When MetaPass crosses over 660, it's going to be a real fight trying to break these levels, right? Because there's going to be a lot of resistance up in here. Not on a weekly time frame, but on those lower time frames. I already looked at it. You're going to run into some issues around 660, 661. But once you clear those order blocks or whatever resistance is on those levels, your real target is 700. 702 is where you're going to run back into resistance at between 700 and 713. But it's in good shape. It's one of the my top reversal stocks right now. And so my top three going into December is Meta, Credo, and Intel. I think that's what it is. Credo Technologies. Yeah. So my runner ups, I'm just gonna go through these quick. I like Amazon. Um, they have a weekly Marbazu. They're sitting at the WTMA cloud right now. And so let me pull them back up on the other chart. And so Amazon is coming out of a demand zone. They never lost their short-term trend on a weekly time frame. When we look at them on a daily, they have they're on a monthly trend line right now, right? So this monthly trend line is coming in handy doing a little work. We got an inverse arc. They came down and successfully tested the 200. And remember what Coach said in the Discord when everything was dropping. I said, go in on your charts, focus on finding stocks coming back down to test the 200 cloud on a daily or weekly time frame, or stocks that are pulling back and retesting previous all-time highs. Those are going to be the money makers when we have a reversal. Those are the ones you want to look for and hunt for. Stocks pulling back down to come test their 200 cloud, and stocks that are pulling back to come back down to test their previous all-time high. So Amazon fell into that boat of stocks pulling back, coming down to test their 200 cloud on a daily time frame, and they also came down right near an order block. Now they've popped up, and they have green money under them. They have a yellow 200. They have a blue 12 because they close it. They open and close this day back over the 12 cloud, and they have an inverse arc. So they have a level 3 and they have a phase 1 uh confirmation, which pushed them in a good spot to push up and try to get through this little chop, hit these little smaller levels like 234, 236, and then 238.80. So you want to keep them on watch. They have a healthy reversal, a nice retest. They survived of the 200 cloud. And so you want to keep them on watch. Keep an eye on the Black Friday, Cyber Monday totals, how much money do people spend and things like that. But you want to keep them on watch, and you want to watch for liquidity around 241. They're probably going to push up to like 241. I'm looking at this bearish arc that took them down. At the top of this arc, 241.28. Once they cross over that level, you want to look for a liquidity grab. So they're probably going to push up above it, sweep back down, and probably come back down to wherever this 240, 238 level is for consolidation. So just keep them on your watch. We got Avi. They're pushing down into a fair value gap. Let's look at them on a weekly time frame. They're sitting on top of a retest of a fair value gap and a 200 cloud right here. So this one right here, I'm looking at them to see if they can come in and get a break above 233. So you want to get them above, 234.42. You want to see them mount this level, and on a daily time frame, you want to see them open and close candles above 234.22. And so if they can start holding above that level, it's like they put in, they're a little higher low. They can try to break out and get another break up on them. And they got earnings coming up soon. I think what's that, February? No, that's in February. So they got a minute, but they're in a fair value gap right here. And the rest of these stocks down here, you got UAL, NOC, MRK, you got Workday, ASML, and RTX. These are my runner ups that I want you to go ahead and do top down analysis on. But the main ones I'm focusing on and for December would be Intel, Credo, and Meta. So with that, y'all stay blessed. Enjoy the rest of y'all Thanksgiving break. Spend some time with your loved ones and your family members. Tomorrow is not promised. This was the first Thanksgiving without my mother. And I've been telling the Holy Spirit to pass her messages, so she's in good hands. And y'all continue to pray for the wolf and my family. But we all right. I'm all right. And God bless you all. And let's get to the money 2025 and the rest of 2026 and beyond. All right, I'm out.